The Unsettled podcast. That's right.
Yeah.
Cliff Schecter is in a undisclosed location, but John is with us.
Yes.
Hooray. Good morning, John.
We always have to keep one of us safe just in case of disaster.
Travel together,
Right.
like the royal family.
Correct. Right.
John, okay.
Susan Collins, love her.
Oh,
She actually said she was disappointed, by the way. She literally said, I'm very disappointed. It was like the woman, she's like Infrastructure Week. She's a walking cliche at this point.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, she's always wrong. Oh, I think the president's learned his lesson from this impeachment. That would never happen. I don't think Brett Kavanaugh will overturn Roe v. Wade. I just don't think.
And the Brett Kavanaugh, it's not Brett Kavanaugh. We're still waiting for, remember McConnell promised her that fix for Obamacare like 3 years ago?
Yes.
She voted for the tax bill or something
Yes.
because he promised her, and still waiting, Susan.
Yeah, she's very easily tricked. Okay, nearly half of Republican voters see a time coming where Americans, quote, will have to take the law into their own hands, according to a new survey. 47% of Republicans voters agreed a time will come when patriotic Americans have to take the law into their own hands. Okay, so 28% of Republicans, John, said they were confident in the 2022 midterm elections would be conducted properly, a decline from 46% who said the same headed into the 2020 election, because Trump's been telling them it will be rigged since way before the election. Democrats said they had faith in both elections, respectively, by 76% and 75%. I mean, John, you don't have to be a historian to know this is just not heading to a good place, right?
No.
That this coup is ongoing. Chris opened the show by irritating me, going, Jeffrey Toobin says it's not really illegal. Everything we just learned from... Really? Donald Trump ordering them to overthrow the United States government is not in any way illegal. Is it not just a rehearsal then to do it again?
Yes. And we're providing every motivation or every incentive for them to do it again. It's not, Cliff and I talk about sort of marketing and PR a lot on the show, just because we tend to feel that Democrats really suck at marketing.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the problem we have, though, is that Democrats don't sell what we do very well, and we don't demonize what they do very well. The Republicans have done, just the insurrection alone, they've done so much that their party should be over. But because we haven't figured out how to effectively destroy them with the insurrection, they're going to do it again. I mean, this was, as you said, it was a test run, and they got away with it.
Yeah.
I'm very scared, and I almost feel like I'm being too scared on the show, but I'm really not sure where this is heading other than violence at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that poll just showed you. I mean,
just told you,
And it's the same thing, John, with COVID. I mean, you said I had a vague notion of maybe possibly someday retiring to Florida. I can't even imagine moving to that cesspool now.
Yeah.
And you said, why would any senior move to a state like Florida where the dominant political party, the Republicans, show zero interest in protecting the lives of the state's citizens? As a senior, your health is a top priority. As a Republican, it isn't.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. Did you see Florida today? The data came out. Florida has more hospitalizations than they ever had during COVID.
At the height of pandemic.
Well, and the reason that matters is, and I've been doing a lot of TikToks lately. It's been kind of fun. People are liking them because I'm trying to give people like half minute to a minute, very social media, update on what matters in terms of COVID in the news. Hospitalizations matter because you don't really care how many people get COVID, right? If you get COVID and you have mild symptoms, it's a cold. Who cares if you get a cold? You care how many people get sick enough to go to the hospital. Florida has more COVID hospitalizations than they've ever had in the last year and a half. That means the outbreak is the worst ever. And they have a Republican governor who doesn't care.
You tweeted so Thomas, who tweeted, this is not good. Florida now an uncharted territory with 21.7 thousand new cases reported today, the largest single day number of new cases, 108 new deaths. This wave is now larger than all previous waves, 10,187 hospitalized, 83% of its all-time pandemic high. And you said I sent you a helicopter, I sent you a boat. I mean,
I keep comparing it to like Passover. I mean, I'm not even Jewish, but I love the Passover example. I keep thinking that, Moses, I keep thinking of that movie. And like they tell you to put the lamb's blood up over your door and you didn't do it. Well, guess what? God took your kid.
Right.
I mean, it's like literally the same thing. God told you what to do.
Yeah.
He said, trust the scientists. He gave you the scientists. You didn't listen. The thing is, as you were saying too, I'm very frustrated is the thing, Steph, because this is dangerous, but also how the Dukakis line, from SNL, how can these guys be winning?
Yeah.
How can they?
Yeah. Well, Ron DeSantis just said, I no masks ever for my kids. I want to see them smile. I'm like, okay, well, maybe right before they're intubated, be a good time.
I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
innovation smile. No, and even the mask thing. I mean, there really is. I feel like a year and a half into this, I'm still almost very confused by the whole thing. I still don't get how they were able to turn masks into something. I had to wear my mask the other day. Our condo building reinstituted masks because DC reinstituted mask mandate this weekend. It was a little weird wearing the mask because I was like, oh yeah, it is a little warm on my face. Like I had gotten used to it and now I'm not. But I mean, it wasn't like it was the worst thing. It wasn't Auschwitz, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I don't even understand how people don't laugh when somebody like, I was going to say DeSantis, they're calling him on Twitter.
Yeah.
The Florida Republican governor, when he talks about masks this way, why don't people just laugh and go, it's a piece of paper on your face. Like doctors wear it all day. What are you talking? Yeah. I mean, you talked about, by the way, we mentioned this earlier, but Kristi Noem saying workers who employers are mandating a vaccine for continuing employment have the power to say no. And you said, whoa, possible GOP presidential hopeful and BFF of Donald Trump tells people to find another job if they don't like vaccine mandates. Oh my, that's going to make a wonderful campaign ad against her. Yeah. Well, in the rest of the quote, she said, you have the power to say no. It's a good economy. You can get a job somewhere else. And I'm thinking, oh my God, like you're telling people, just quit your job and go. Not to mention North Dakota. I mean, she's North Dakota herself. She's North, isn't she?
Kristi Noem, South Dakota, I think. Yeah.
South Dakota.
I should know this. Okay. Either way, they're a rural state.
Yeah.
It's not like there's a lot of other places you can go for a job.
Yes, exactly.
Not to mention changing your job, kind of a scary thing. It's not just like, we're not all 20-year-old millennials who change or Gen Z at this point, who can just change their job.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, by the way, I knew I would you always make a mistake saying something nice about Walmart. Because I had applauded them for a vaccine mandate, and then they just said it's only at corporate headquarters, not at all the stores.
Right.
Because I was just going to say too, you're in a red rural area. There isn't anywhere else to work but Walmart, so that's why that would be huge.
Did you see
if
what
they
the
mandated...
employment? Did you see the employment numbers? So Walmart, a couple days ago, Walmart said, vaccine mandate. And we're all thinking, yay, because Walmart has something like 1.7 million employees, something crazy in its warehouses. Yeah. They clarified today and said, it's just at our headquarters, which is around 17,000 employees. So basically, the million-plus employees don't have to wear masks.
Right.
That's crazy. But
the airlines don't require masks either, which I had no idea. No, excuse me, they don't even require vaccines.
I know, and they should
at the airlines. And I thought they all had to be vaccinated.
They absolutely should. Well, John, we've been talking about that. Well, for instance, you tweeted Ana Cabrera said 2 travelers from the U.S. fined nearly $20,000 each for providing false vaccine information to Canadian authorities, and you said, wow, now that's what we should be doing. I'd love to know how Canadians figured it out. Yeah, I mean, I am all stick. I've been out of carrots and F's for quite a while. But
there were some recent polls showing that around 64% or so of American people support vaccine mandates.
Yes.
70% supported for flying.
Yeah.
Which blew my mind. And get this, among Republicans, this is just generic mandates. Among Republicans, 45% support a generic vaccine mandate by the federal government. Now, mind you, they're in cuckoo land now, the Republicans. If 45% of them say it's okay for the evil federal government to mandate a vaccine, what this says to me is, again, even though there is a lot of vaccine hesitancy, we're hearing so much BS come from the far right of the Republican Party, and they're convincing us that they represent some sizable number of people. And I'm starting to wonder if they really do.
Right. Yeah, that's a good, I mean, you're right. Sometimes you see polls like that, John, and you're like, 70% are with us on vaccine mandates. Like, it's the noisiest far right segment that you think, everybody's, screaming.
Well, there's a wonderful adage I like to quote, and I forget where it's from, but it's something like, the loudest thing in a field of sleeping bulls is a cricket.
Ah, yes. Well,
and
you also
it's the noisemakers are not necessarily the biggest thing around.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. And John, you tweeted, we've been talking about this from the top of the show, that the very good news is vaccine rates are going way up in the last week. And you tweeted about the same guy we did. You said after 8 months with COVID and a liver transplant, this Tennessee Republican who once accused the media of sensationalizing COVID is now a vaccine advocate. And Chris and Travis were saying, they feel like that is partially what's happening, is there are so many of these stories. And, I know, like I say, the news crews have been inside, ICUs all weekend talking to people expressing regret at not getting vaccinated, about it being too late, about it, about them feeling regret that they didn't get it. And some of them, John, like I say, I understand the anger toward people that refuse to get it, but some of them are just like, I didn't get around to it. And, I mean, these stories are heart-wrenching in a lot of places. But,
honestly,
Go ahead, yeah.
I think the Republican officials have helped us a little bit. Hey, let's finally give them some credit. is it Kay Ivey? I forget her name. The Alabama
Ivey.
governor who people were initially criticizing, but her quote was actually that she was fed up with all the anti-vaxxers.
Yeah.
That's why she gave sort of a negative quote, but she was all over their butts.
Well, yeah, but John, I guess she was one of the original, like, no mask mandate, Republican
no,
governors. So for them,
correct.
any of them to act surprised why half of their, less than
Yes.
half of their population is vaccinated now is, she's like, I've done everything
Right.
I know how to do. Well, no, you didn't actually, you
Right.
know.
No. But I'm not giving her credit, so to speak. All I'm saying is I think we've had so many of these. That idiot running for governor in Arkansas, Huckabee Sanders.
Yeah.
We've had so many of these people come out now and go, "Oh my God, you've got to get vaccinated." That I think maybe that's finally having some impact on the right.
Yeah.
So I'm saying I think that's been good. I'm not going to give these people the Nobel Prize, but I think that's swaying people. But as you said too, let's face it, the most of the cases and the worst cases now, because the vaccine. Look, you have a better chance. You have an increased chance of getting COVID from Delta, even if you're vaccinated, but you still have a very low chance of having any kind of a serious illness.
Yeah.
If you're unvaccinated, bye-bye.
Yeah.
And as you said, which means all the bad cases are now going to happen amongst their friends and family. They're no longer happening with the liberal down. Except the black community, which we've got to be careful. The black community is still holding off a bit, as are some Latinos.
Right.
So
right. Well, and
we
I
need to
was
work on
saying
that.
the Trump administration guy, right? Brent Gerard.
Oh, him.
It's
Yeah,
like a
him.
kid doing a lion. Rawr. That guy. But he said he said on Fox News, John, if you're not vaccinated, you're going to get the Delta variant. Period. I mean,
Yeah.
so I think that, the coverage of the Delta variant and all these stories of
Yeah.
right-wingers and regret and other Republicans. I mean, I think you're right. Somebody woke up and looked at the polling and went, oh, my God,
Yeah.
we're killing our base. And, anyway. So,
Actually, real quick, there was a poll on that too, which was funny. What it showed was what would at least incrementally help make people a little more willing to get a vaccine. And what it showed was the worst polling was for $100 in cash or a $20 gift certificate. People didn't care about the $100 in cash. They cared about airlines requiring it to fly. That was top of the list. And it also said one of them was your local doctor being able to give the shot. I thought that was kind of BS, but other people were saying, well, but if your doctor's giving it, maybe like you don't think the evil white man or whoever in Washington created the shot. You almost think your doctor did it and you trust him or her.
yeah. Well, whatever it
But
takes.
the point is negative. I think negative works.
Whatever
with
it
you.
takes.
Yeah.
Real quick before we go, John, what do you infrastructure? It is actually Infrastructure Week. I know. I'm sorry for all the false alarms. But so this is kind of a BFD, as the president would say. It's a nearly $1 trillion infrastructure package. It has both length and girth. It is 2,700 pages.
Yes.
Yes.
So final vote, Schumer says, could be held in a matter of days. It is the most substantial expenditure on the nation's roads, bridges, waterworks, broadband, and electric grid in years. But, we're hearing all the same stuff. The Progressive Caucus in the House, and then you have, Manchin and Sinema on the other side. Like, what?
Right.
Where do you, it is hard to tell, right? Like where we are with this, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I tend to be very excited about it, but look, I think I tend to be more pragmatic on these things of late. And I got to tell you, like, if it were gay rights, I'd probably be screaming and saying, I want 10 times more. So I get why, if it's your cup of tea infrastructure, why some of the progressives in the House might say, I want 10 times more. I do think that, unfortunately, we need a lot of money for other stuff too, right? We need climate. We've got to address climate change. People want to address student loans. That's a lot of money. We've got to deal with Social Security someday. I'd like to see Medicare expanded.
Yeah.
We're not spring chicken anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
Suddenly it's important to us.
but we've got to, true. But we've got to remember that 1.5 trillion is how much the Republican tax cuts have cost. So 1 trillion, in a way, we already got even by getting our 1 trillion. And I think for us to think we're going to get 6 trillion, maybe we will, but that's a lot of money. And there's still a part of me that says, even though they go and spend like drunken sailors, maybe we shouldn't do the same. And if we had better messaging, we could stop them from spending like drunken sailors.
Yeah. Well, don't get me started. I will not be told if I'm progressive or not. I voted for Elizabeth Warren in the presidential election.
Oh,
I will not be told.
I know.
But I mean,
everyone thinks we're not progressive
I
anymore.
saw a
Right.
headline that said, Bernie is starting they're calling it a pragmatic progressive movement. I'm like, that's funny because that's what Hillary called it.
Yeah.
But that wasn't good enough.
You and I are the pragmatic progressives.
Yeah.
You and I are the pragmatic. I get we could have a whole other show on this one, but people who are new to politics lecturing me about what it means to be a progressive and a liberal when I've spent 30 years out there as an openly gay man risking life and limb and job, to secure the rights for these young people who then turn around and go, you're not a real progressive. I'm like, honey, I made America safe for people like you. Don't tell me that I don't know what it's like to stick up for the left.
Yeah.
And same goes for you.
Yeah.
And the boys helping us on the show today.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
John Erebos
it's just,
is in the role of cranky old gay. Cranky old gay.
Okay.
Cranky old gay
I like
concerned
that.
about Medicare of the Stephanie
That's
Miller
my
Show.
next podcast.
Yeah.